Alright, stayed up later last night and made some progress with getting the Plenum back on. Wasn't too difficult. The finish on this, I don't know how well it looks on camera, but I started with like 60 grit, went to a 100 grit, and then down to a 200 grit, but actually went heavier than I should have, and kind of, it's not a professional job by any means. These I've seen people take them all the way down and polish them, and you could do that, but you would have to take it way down, and I just wanted it really cleaned up, and I sanded these as well, and these marks actually are probably from install that I'll need to clean up again, but it's not perfect, but you know, it is what it is. For looks a lot better than it did. But I think today I'm going to try and get the throttle body back on and get all the connections to it done. I've got some green antifreeze, which it had the Dex Cool or whatever the Chevy brand is in it. We got that all drained out, and I also flushed it out with water as best I could. But this from Advanced or from AutoZone says that it will mix with anything too, if there's a little bit left in it. But we'll just run that with the old water pump and old hoses for now until I can find the right hose for the one with the three-way connection. I think I'm also going to try and change the fuel filter before I try and fire it. Anytime you put injectors in, they say to do that, so that's another thing that I will have to do. Hopefully I can get it running today. I've got to work tonight, so just but I can sleep tomorrow. I say this is not a how-to video, and it's really not, but there's certain little things that you may not notice when you take these apart and you start to put them back together. The lower bolts, of course, went in a lot easier, and you don't really have to worry about mixing them up. You can see where the longer ones go, and these are the same as the lower ones. I was kind of worried about that, but on the ends here, if you can see how this is an angle, these bolts go in at an angle too. They match the flange, and if you try and put them in straight, you will strip it out. I took this back, and I think the back corner is the same way. Took this back out, realigned the gasket, made sure that I was good, and figured out, you know, made sure I was running the threads the right way. You just go back and forth and torque it down evenly, and so that it makes a good even seal. Use a cross pattern. Alright, the smoke is going to burn off all the little grease here and there, but I've just fired it. I had problems, and I've got my plug wire still numbered. I thought I was going to take the sugar off, the cap off again. I went ahead and replaced the coil, but it was the engine control module down in there. You know, I had it all back right, and then it wouldn't even get fired. Looked like one of the plugs was a little bit loose on there, like maybe the rotor hit it. It's below the rotor bar, but that was the problem. All this is normal. She is idling so much smoother. My idler pulley is barely jumping. We're going to have to top it off the fluids, but... And I had to check, the red wire is your battery here, and I was getting power to it, but it wasn't doing anything. So you know your problem is in here. If you're getting power to here and the cat's got power and your ground is good, of course my tag doesn't work. She is so much smoother. I got crap everywhere. I'm gonna let it run for a minute, watch the temperature. I wasn't gonna top it off, but make sure I got no fuel leaks. And again, we won't let it smoke too much. Something's hot down there. It's no ambers. We'll check that side and make sure there's not a wire or something touching. But everywhere that I put a fingerprint on the exhaust, and it's just from fingerprints from putting it all back together. Anytime you put a car back together, yeah, it's gonna burn off the excess. But I've got to get up early for work again in the morning. But I'll be damned if I was going to let this thing not run today. I'm going to get in there and look at that and make sure I didn't touch or remove that. The only thing that could be on that is liquid wrench or something. But she's alive and she runs. And she started well with those injectors with no help. So, you know, it's just a momentary triumph, and we'll continue on with it. And stopped it and let it cool down a little bit. I've been looking for any fuel leaks or anything, and I don't see anything out of the ordinary. It's still low on coolant, but it may have a bubble in it. So when it cooled down, I gave it a break, and then I've been just putting in fluid as I can because it wants to push it out. Might give me a low coolant sign now. I'm sure there are more problems to come, but it runs so much smoother. My idler pulley's not jumping as bad, you can't really see it, but these wires, to get them back off the valve covers a little more, these things run so freaking hot. And I've got to get my fan relay worked out. It's got a 190-degree thermostat in it, so I'm going to open the thermostat up again on it and let it try and work that bubble out, and I'll let it cool off again, and then I'll pop the cap and top it off again. But that was frustrating, to say the least, to diagnose. I did all this work, put it back together, and then it doesn't even get fire. Well, from what I hear, the ignition modules, and they're in the bottom of the distributor. Take your cap off, rotor button off, and it's a semicircle electronic device with plugs in it. Those, from what they said at AutoZone, are the most common issue when these things when the ignition goes out on them. The thermostat should be up, and we're at 201 and holding with no fan. little dip there. I don't know what that was. Yeah, it's saying low fluid again. I think if I just keep working toward it, I can get all the bad stuff, dry rotted plastics and rubbers replaced on it, and I think it'll be fairly reliable. It's got that roller cam in it, you know, they're bulletproof engines, L98. We'll see.